Hey there, this is the American Mutt, independent, also a member of the Holy Spirit of Humanity. Now, I've been watching different YouTubers this morning, and the Young Turks were talking about how Biden did a good thing, which he didn't, but they want to try to pretend that Biden does something good. And the good thing was, he's forcing airlines to give refunds. The airlines are going to raise the prices of everything. If they have to give refunds, and they're going to bill you for the refund. That's the nice part. You pay $3 to buy the ticket for the convenience, and then they're going to charge you $3 to give your money back. And it will probably have to show up on taxes or some shit. They'll do it through Cash App or one of these apps that'll exceed the $600 limit so that you have to report it on taxes because Biden did the right thing. But I did come up with, I understand now why so many Democrats got mad when people said all lives matter during the BLM, the bullshit. This is, if you actually, well, you can't see my TikTok because I'm permanently banned, but if you could see my very first TikTok, it started out because BLM was talking about how blacks in America were treated. So I started looking up African countries. Yeah. So I realized that BLM was a bunch of bullshit, and they were telling young black men, you're going to be arrested, you're going to go to jail, you're going to be a drug addict, you're going to be a gangbanger. And I grew up in Gen X, where mine was a terrible thing to waste, not telling them you already are going to end up there. And BLM pretty much did that and kept the money. It wasn't actually used to help any black Americans. Well, except for the founders, it helped them out a lot. They live in a nice mansion now. Yeah, that's really using the black race for their financial gain. Isn't there something they used to call that? Begins with an S. So I really am not a fan of Black Lives Matter. I'm a fan of All Lives Matter. But I finally figured out why Democrats got so mad. Because if you wouldn't, right now, what Joe Biden is helping to do in the Middle East, it wouldn't work because they're brown lives. See, Black lives matter, not Palestinian lives, not Russian soldiers. And anytime I talk to the soldiers, and this one freaks me out the most, everybody, the uncivil war of the South soldiers were a bunch of hate, racist BSs. Most of the soldiers that died in the uncivil war were poor. Most of the soldiers that died in the Vietnam War, poor. Most soldiers that die in war are not your wealthy. Where was Donald Trump during Vietnam? Yeah. And then say, Biden went. Biden's a joke. And Biden also went to a war that we shouldn't even have been involved with. But when we talk about all lives matter, this is what we meant. The children in the Congo slave mines, their lives matter. But your environmental agenda, which is bullshit, total bullshit. You cannot stop the warming of the planet. It's not impossible, but we don't use the proper technology, and we don't have the right people in power to understand how to move the planet. Yeah, I said move the planet, and it could be done. Mathematically, you can move the planet. You can actually adjust the planet, but we're too primitive. We're not ready for that because we got to destroy brown people, right? One group did a really bad thing, so we'll blame the whole group for it, right, Joe Biden? Yeah. There's quite a few people that kind of fit the serial killer statute that are white. Should we blame all white people for that? We have a few bad cops out there. Should we blame all cops for being bad? We have a lot of bad politicians. Yeah, I'll agree. We should blame politicians. They're bad. They're for the highest bidder, right, Joe Biden? You want to make sure that the war in the Middle East goes on. You can get rid of both Jewish people and Muslims. We got Russia, China backing the Muslims. We got America backing the Jewish. Yet the troops stay out. We just give you weapons so you can do the damage to each other. And the Muslims and the Jewish people aren't even smart enough to see this. That's what's so bad. They're allowing you to do genocide on each other while they sit back and laugh at you doing it. Now, Joe Biden will financially gain because he'll be able to shut down the oil industry. Because remember, Democrats hate mining unless it's lithium, nickel, cobalt, coal, what else? Natural gas for your electric plants. They hate mining, though. Their whole EV electric car is built from nothing but mining, but they hate mining because mining destroys the planet, which they're right, but they don't understand how it actually does hurt the planet because they're too busy profiting. Don't worry, Joe Biden will take the kickbacks from BlackRock because BlackRock owns a large amount of power companies. So, of course, BlackRock wants you driving electric cars. They don't want to share the money with the oil. They want you only driving electric so that only BlackRock can control you. I mean, that's what democracy is, no free choice. Drive your EV, right? We'll give you tax breaks. Oh, yeah, we'll burn coal and natural gas so you can power it. Hell, we'll do like Europe and put diesel generators out there and power. And don't worry, we're going to give a billionaire millions of dollars to build these super Tesla pumps. And then we'll give the pumps to Tesla so they can make billions off of profiting. And we'll even be so nice and we'll make Ford and Stella and GM adapt to the Tesla pumps so that Tesla can make more trillions off the electric industry. Vanguard owns part of Twitter. BlackRock has ownership in Twitter and in Tesla. Kind of weird how that works. It's almost like they're setting it up so they can totally control you. But don't worry, Joe Biden's going to have his war in the Middle East, so oil goes through the roof. So you wealthy Americans, because Joe Biden's great economy, 12% higher homeless rate, great economy, children don't even want to get a job because they say it's slave labor, great economy, massive layoffs by all these big tech companies, great economy, massive layoffs by all the Ford, GM, Stella companies, great economy. Wait a minute, all those things contradict each other. So how is Joe Biden this awesome president? He's helping to annihilate poor brown people. He's helping to annihilate poor Russian people. He's helping to make the trillionaires even wealthier by forcing you onto the electric grid so all your power comes from one monopolization. He's forcing all the car companies to lay off people because it takes less people to build EVs. And he's also forcing them to go to the Tesla supercharger so that he can benefit Tesla. We know how caring Elon is. So, yeah, we need to make sure that he is guaranteed trillions and trillions of dollars because you will be forced to buy electric. Yeah, Joe Biden. Anybody want to bring Joe Biden's name up against me? I'll tear him to shreds. And Donald Trump, I despise you just as much. What your uncle did to one of my heroes, Nikola Tesla, I will never forgive. We are held back because of bullshit like the Vatican. We are held back because of bullshit like our government taking things that belong to us. And you know what's really funny? This is so funny. I watch auditors, and they talk about public buildings being public property. Yeah, you're right. But really, if you actually understood the way the system's set up, because no one really thinks about it, Trump knows, and people that deal with real estate know how the game really is. The U.S. government owns all American land. Even if you think you own your property, the U.S. government owns it. You get a deed. You don't get ownership of your property. That's why you pay property tax. You never own your property. But we own the U.S. government. Don't we? Aren't the politicians there to work for us? Aren't we paying the taxpayers or paying for the government to run? So we own them. And yet, we get all these bullshit laws. We hear all this bullshit. So really, walking anywhere in America, you're really not trespassing, are you? Even on government property, because we own it. But then they tell you you don't. Kind of weird how that works. You know, most people would call that communism. Matter of fact, that's what I call it. And most people like me want freedom back. See, we grew up with the generation being told to put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye until 1987, where Ronald Reagan was so nice to sign a nuclear disarmament. Disarmament, I know. Democrats don't know what that means. And Ronald Reagan is one of my favorite presidents. I've said that before. I've studied Reagan since he was a governor. And if you actually go back to the 60s and listen to how Reagan really talked, he was an independent. Even in the 80s, the Republicans and the Democrats, the politicians hated Reagan. After all, he brought Russia to their knees. He got nuclear disarmament actually done. Not totally, because he got taken out of power. So, don't bust some Reagan around me. Social Security, yes, he did fuck. But until you know what Charlie Wilson and the Republicans conquered in the 80s, don't talk bad about him. Go look it up. Tom Hanks did an awesome movie called Charlie Wilson's War. And you'll find out who really helped the Muslim people. Except we fucked up and we didn't build hospitals and we didn't build schools after we left. After we dropped financial backing. That's why Afghanistan went to hell. And even if you want more action, go watch Rambo 3. He was helping the Afghanian people free themselves from Russia. Just like the Americans. And the funny thing is, we were using weapons sold to us by a Jewish gun dealer. Yeah, go check it out. And also go check out Reagan in the 60s. Listen to his speeches. Listen to the hope for the American people, not for the America government. That's where the confusion comes. Donald Trump's for the America government. Joe Biden's for the Catholic genocide. And my candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is for the American people. See, the independents don't want to make America great. We want to remind Americans that you are great. You don't need the petty racism. You don't need the petty homophobe. I mean, my God, these religious people believe they all come from one God. I believe God is all. There's a difference. But they all believe that they come from one God. They believe in, family on family stuff. Even people believe in evolution the same way. You believe in cells that came from the ocean. Whatever the first living organism that created us would have been our atom, which it is. But, and I do believe in God, just my God's all. My God's the table sitting beside me. My God's in the coffee I drink, in the cup that it is made of, because it's atomic life. It's all life. And there's other parts that are involved, but I'm not going into that. So, when you get out this year in November, California, you got Kennedy on the ballot. I'm pretty sure Michigan does. I'm not sure in PA yet. We will vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's the only one that's ever actually done any good. And he's walked the path of the sinner. He's walked through hell, and he's still trying to make Americans great. So come join us in the Independent Party. Leave the hate at the door. All lives matter. Gay, straight, trans, we don't care. You're a human. That's the only pronoun we need in the Independent Party, humans. The only description I need of anybody, that you're a human and you care for other humans. Be safe. Be strong. Please understand the evil that is controlling you, that is controlling our path. We can change. The Hopi believed it, I believe it, and Kennedy believes it. So come join us. Be safe. Be strong. And if you come join me and the witches, you'll understand that God never left and that you're never alone.